is it he doesn't have any way to contact you?
Because I'm always changing my number. Like, I change my number like 3 times out of a month.
The search to find the true biological father of a kid is what paternity court is all about. But things get a bit complicated when the women in the court lie or deceive to try and curry a ruling in their favor. So in today's episode, we list down some of the craziest women on paternity court and the cases they fought. Number 1. Foster v. Jackson. For our first entry, we've got the plaintiff, Miss Foster, who claims that she and her ex-boyfriend, who is the defendant, planned the pregnancy. However, the defendant has since abandoned her and denied paternity. She wants to...
Miss Foster, you claim you and your ex-boyfriend planned your pregnancy only to have him abandon you and deny paternity. You are here to prove that he is your daughter, Jakia's biological father. You want him to step up and take care of his daughter.
The defendant, Mr. Jackson, on the other hand, claims that Miss Foster cheated on him multiple times during their relationship, which is why he believes that...
Mr. Jackson, you say Miss Foster cheated on you multiple times during your relationship, and there is no way you are Jakia's father.
The judge asked Miss Foster how their relationship started, to which she replied...
So we had a mutual friend. They vouched for him, said he was a good person, so we jumped into a relationship. I had my first child, and he did come bring us to his mother's house, but he was claiming my first child knowing she wasn't his baby, but then when we planned a baby, he doesn't deny it.
Mr. Jackson claimed that the guy that Miss Foster said was her brother was actually...
She had dropped her off at my house, claiming it was her brother. It was a dude she was sleeping with.
Correct, Your Honor. It definitely was.
Basically what the story was, she already came to my house pregnant by her so-called brother.
Miss Foster objected to Mr. Jackson's framing of the situation. She told the judge that he knew about her boyfriend and was okay with it since he also had a girlfriend out of town and wanted a polygamous relationship. She further claimed that...
At some point, you found out you're pregnant again.
Yes, Your Honor, after he left out of town again.
So what happened?
I was talking in a relationship with him, and when I found out he was in a relationship with the other female, I went to go continue doing me with the Marquise gentleman. That could be the alleged father as well.
The judge asked Miss Foster about the day she found out she was pregnant. Miss Foster told the judge that...
I fell to the floor. I did 3 rolls around the floor in the doctor's office because I wasn't having no kids if I'm finna be a single mother to 2 children by myself. I'm 20. It's not happening. So, at that point, I told Marquise because Marquise was there. Physically, he was gone, out of sight, wasn't worried about him.
Marquise is the brother.
Yeah.
Who wasn't a brother.
Yeah, the brother who wasn't a brother.
Miss Foster explained to the judge the details of her conception calendar. However, things got a little heated when she told the judge...
I kind of know what I'm talking about as far as the female productive system.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
wish you would have known so much about what you was talking about that you would have known who your child's father was.
I mean, I was, but...
Go ahead, honey. Go ahead. School us.
The judge asked Mr. Jackson about his relationship with the child, to which he replied by saying...
None.
Because I don't talk to her through the phone.
Lies.
Man, you don't even click. We get on the phone and argue, me, you, and my girl every time. You feel me? So what's the point of keep calling her? Me and my girl got...
So is that the long way of saying you don't even spend no time with her?
I'm like 4 hours away. I asked her, you feel me? I can go and get Jakia. Oh, no, you're not bringing her up there. Woo, woo. My girl ain't got nothing to do with that.
Miss Foster said to the judge that she is a strong woman and does not need a man to help her raise her child. However, she believes that it is not fair to the child to have just one parent in the household. She said,
Make her by myself. We made her together. So therefore, step up. I don't care what you got going in your life because she asked to be here. We asked for her to be here and it's not fair. I grew up in foster care. He did too, so we both know exactly how it is.
The judge then turns to Mr. Jackson and asks him if he plans to step up in the raising of the child if the results prove that he is the father. Mr. Jackson says that he will step up if the child is indeed his. After this, the judge reveals the DNA test results, which show that...
Foster versus Jackson. When it comes to Jakia, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Number 2, McBirth Terrell v. Jackson. In this case, we have the plaintiff, Ms. McBirth, who has petitioned the court for a paternity test since she believes that her son is not the biological father of the defendant's son. She is also claiming $1,000 in damages for
Ms. McBirth, you petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove your son, Kakitho Hughes, is not the father of Ms. Jackson's 2-year-old son, Elijah Jackson. Furthermore, you're suing Ms. Jackson for $1,000 for defamation of character because you claim she posted comments on social media claiming you and your family are deadbeats.
The defendant, Ms. Jackson, however, claims that Ms. Jackson has been poisoning her son by telling him that he is not the biological father of her child.
Now, Ms. Jackson, you say Ms. McBirth has been poisoning her son by convincing him he's not the biological father of your child. You claim the timing does add up.
Ms. McBirth claims that the child does not look anything like her son or anyone in her family, which is why she believes that.
And you say the child looks nothing like your son.
That baby white as snow. There's no way that could be my grandchild or my son's baby. He has no features like none of us. Nobody in my family looked like that.
And just by looking at this child, you've determined and said to yourself, I do not believe that's my grandchild.
That can't happen. There's no way.
The judge asked Miss Jackson how long she has been in a relationship with Miss McBirth's son. Mr. Jackson replied by saying,
For maybe about 15, 18 months.
Okay, so a little over a year. Were you in a committed relationship?
I thought we was.
You did, okay. And was he the only person you were intimate with during that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Now she knows she lied.
Miss Terrell, who is Miss McBirth's daughter, claimed that Miss Jackson changed her story about the parentage of her child. She claims that when Miss Jackson was pregnant, she did not know for sure who the father of the baby was. She further claimed that.
So when we asked while she was pregnant, we asked her for a DNA test.
And what did she say?
She was like, oh, okay. She was all for it. At that time frame, she was all for it, the DNA test. All of a sudden, when she had the baby, that was out the question because she come up with this lie.
Things start to get a bit heated when Miss Terrell accuses Miss Jackson of having a sex party at her house. The judge interjects and then calls Miss McBirth's son, Mr. Hughes, to present his side of the story. The judge asks him if he believes that he is the father of Miss Jackson's child, to which he replies,
I just gave him the benefit of the doubt because I'm biracial. My father's white, so.
Child is not my son's, okay?
Man.
She got men coming and going in and out of her house.
Mr. Hughes claims that Miss Jackson herself has doubts about who the real father of her baby is since
And I knew she was with another biracial dude before she was with me.
Like 3 months before, and I was 5 weeks pregnant when we found out I was pregnant.
Yeah, you get around, don't you? Do you know how many times a girl has said, this is my son's child, this one? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sick of it.
Miss McBirth lets out her frustration with her son by telling the judge,
Hold on, stop talking, because finally Miss McBirth is speaking the real truth of what she's really frustrated about.
I've been through hell. Every time I look around, it's a baby here, it's a baby there. And I'm the one stuck helping, gotta feed them, take care of the clothes, and keep them while the mom and daddy either go to work or run the street.
The courtroom gets a bit heated, and the judge has to interject. She dismisses Miss McBirth's claim for defamation since
I don't have proof of the false statements, and I don't have proof of any injury that was caused.
the judge then presents the results of the DNA test, which reveal that
Pertaining to 2-year-old Elijah Jackson, and whether Mr. Hughes is the father. Mr. Hughes, you are Elijah's father.
Number 3, White v. White. The plaintiff, Mrs. White, has petitioned the court to prove to her husband that he has fathered her 3-year-old daughter since she believes that this might be her only chance to save her marriage and regain her husband's trust.
Ms. White, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated, in the past, but hope once the results are revealed, your husband will trust you again.
The defendant, Mr. White, claims that he has proof that Mrs. White has been unfaithful to him and that he is not the biological father of the child.
Mr. White, you claim to have physical proof your wife broke her vows, and as much as you love Savannah, you do not believe you're her biological father and are prepared to divorce your wife when the test proves your case.
Miss White claims that Mrs. White was having her ex-boyfriend come over when he was away at work. He claimed that
I had neighbors tell me he was coming over, and then I started doing the snooping on Facebook, seeing where his location was, looking through her phone, and then we got into an argument one night, and then he showed up, and that's when I knew there was something happening, because why would you call him if we're arguing?
And now you just don't have any trust in this relationship.
Mr. White claimed that Mrs. White started cheating on him a week after they got married. Mrs. White accepted that she was unfaithful to her husband, but
I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need, and I mean I'm not trying to like make excuses for myself because I admit what I've done is wrong, but I just want him to like show me love and affection and be there for me and like hold my hand in public and just be there.
The judge asked Mr. White when he found out about Mrs. White's cheating. Mr. White told the judge that
I didn't find out for sure until she admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
Mr. White shows the judge Mrs. White's text messages, which she has sent to other men, proving her relationship with these men. Mr. White claims that even after all of this, he has stayed because
all of this is the reason why you've stayed.
Yep, it's my children, because I love them so much and they need a mother and father. They don't just need one of us.
So, Mr. White, please tell me that this is the only evidence you have. You just have these text messages?
Mr. White tells the judge that he took possession of Mrs. White's phone and shows the judge pictures that Mrs. White has sent to men she is having affairs with. The judge finally reveals the results of the DNA test, which show that
in the case of White versus White, when it comes to 3-year-old Savannah White, it has been determined by this court, Mr. White, you are her father.
Well, that's all we have for this episode. If you liked the video, leave us a thumbs up. Also, let us know in the comments what your favorite moment has been on Paternity Court, and if we missed any that you like. Until next time.